Alright. Last one of the night.
Alright.
Juwan next to Don.
Seven, my STEEZ know what's going on. Yes, Lord. What y'all at?
And then bring y'all post-game reviews. Sydney Swans versus Essendon.
At the SCG.
Alright, so coming into this game, I thought this was going to be a lot like the previous game. Just an ass whoop. Previous game as in Melbourne and the Hawks. Thought that Sydney was just going to come in and steamroll this game. Really no competition. And Essendon surprised me a lot here. I was like excited, glad to see it. Best game of the night for sure. Yeah, what you talking about?
In the beginning, I definitely expected Sydney to smoke these boys too as well. It appears that Essendon has, well, obviously as we all know, if you've been keeping up with us, I've tipped Essendon to be at the bottom of the ladder. So I didn't have much expectations, but it does seem like the young blokes have been upping their game a little bit. They have been more physical, it seems, and more than I give them credit for. To begin the game, Essendon came out from the very beginning just winning the center bounce, and I think they were really strong really the whole game in the clearance. And in the beginning of the game, Isaac Heaney wasn't really doing too much. He didn't have as big an impact as he had, as we've seen he's had in the last two games. But Sydney got to rolling whenever he did start finding the footy, and it just got crazy from there. But I think Sydney slowly but surely ended up. It was just the composure, I think, the difference between Sydney and Essendon. I don't think Essendon's inside 50s or anything like that. It wasn't what they would have liked. Their forwards had to do a lot of work in order to be able to mark the ball inside 50 compared to Sydney, who really had it. They had the entries on. How do I word it? The entries were just crisp and lace out, if you will. The forwards had to work a lot less. The forwards' leads were pretty good, I think, and they got the reward for it, I think.
Hey, also early in the first quarter, after Essendon scored 2 goals in 2 minutes, Peter Wright took a big hit on Cunningham and laid him out. Definitely he was concussed. They hit his head twice. Peter Wright definitely just ran. It was a collision in the air, and just expect Peter to miss a few games off some suspension because it looked real bad. It wasn't as bad as it looked. Well, seeing that Cunningham didn't have to go to the hospital or anything, he kind of just sat out the rest of the game and was able to, still communicate and walk. He was just out cold for a little bit, and yeah, it just looked real bad.
I think it did set the tone for the physicality of the game as well.
Yeah, because after that, they definitely Sydney and Essendon were both getting into it back and forth. It definitely was a fiery game, which added to the excitement of the game for sure. A lot of little scuffles going on, if you don't mind. But other than that, I just like to point out Essendon's great game because I definitely thought they were one of the more shit teams this year. And I do, after the last 2 games, I do kind of give Sydney a lot of respect. So for them playing such a good game and keeping it close, there was never a time in this game where I just thought Sydney was running away with it. Although Sydney did look better and cleaner with the ball, more crisp if you don't mind. Essendon they fought the whole game to the very end. Even with Peter Wright getting booed every time he touched the ball, he stayed composed. Still got some big marks, still got some big goals. So shout out for him. Knowing he didn't do the hit on purpose, So
yeah. Sydney just looked more comfortable as the game went on. And I think that pretty much they figured out how to pick down Essendon's defense as the game went on. Essendon closed the gap. Sydney made a gap for Essendon to close toward the end of the game. Essendon put their best foot forward at the end, but I think all that effort that they put 4 they just gassed out in the end, and then the score just ended up a blowout because there was just goal after goal and it just snowballed. And then the last portion of the game for Sydney with Chad Warner being the beneficiary of a lot of the goals.
Yeah, Heaney also had a really big game as usual. Him in the midfield, I really can consider him a Brownlow contender the way he's been playing these last few games. I think he had 33 disposals or 32 disposals for the game. Yeah, he's just definitely probably looking like one of the best players this year. You know, getting up in that caliber like Petrarca and Bond and players like that. I think Heaney's going to be one of those guys as well pretty soon. Other than that, my fantasy's fucked. I had Cunningham, the guy that Peter Wright knocked out and took out the game in the first fucking 3 minutes of the game. And I did not have an emergency player. So, yeah, GG's on that one.
GG's.
That's all for you?
Pretty much.
Yeah, so other than that, man, y'all like, comment, subscribe, all the YouTube shit. We's live all night. There's games tomorrow. I'll be live for that too, man. Y'all tune in, all that shit. Yeah.